Hillary Clinton traveling to Charlotte, North Carolina this morning as the city continues to cope with the aftermath of a deadly police-involved shooting. Faith leaders had invited the Democratic nominee to visit the community last Sunday, but Mrs. Clinton rescheduling her trip for today after the city saw days of protests. Rich Edson is live in Charlotte, North Carolina with the latest. And Rich, didn't the mayor ask both candidates not to visit Charlotte at the time?
Good afternoon, Arthel, and that's it. Hillary Clinton had planned on being here 1 week ago. She delayed her trip when Charlotte city officials asked both candidates not to come here because it would be a drain on resources. The Clinton camp said they would reschedule for today if circumstances allowed, and they are here today. Hillary Clinton is speaking in front of a largely African-American congregation here in Charlotte. She says she doesn't know the details of the shooting, but prays for the families. She also says the police officers and their families have suffered through much of the violence going on in the country. And then she takes a hit at Donald Trump, saying others say all problems will be solved simply by law and order, as if systemic racism plaguing our country does not exist. After this, a campaign aide says Hillary Clinton will meet with young African-American men to discuss the urgency of addressing racial, economic, and social justice issues. For the Hillary Clinton campaign, much of this is also about turning out President Barack Obama's coalition from 2008 and 2012, largely dealing with young voters, minority voters, African-American voters. And it is incredibly close here in North Carolina in polling, just as it was in 2008 and 2012. The latest Real Clear Politics average of polls in the state of North Carolina shows Donald Trump with a narrow lead, 43 to 42. Also, during Monday's debate, Hillary Clinton tried to appeal to African-American voters, talking about many of their challenges and using terms like implicit bias and systemic racism.
Race still determines too much, often determines where people live, determines what kind of education in their public schools they can get, and yes, it determines how they're treated in the criminal justice system. We've just seen those two tragic examples in both Tulsa and Charlotte.
That is a marked, nuanced contrast to Donald Trump, who is calling for law enforcement officers and calling for law and order and support of law enforcement officers. After the police shooting here, Hillary Clinton was one of the city officials, officials in general, who was calling for city officials to release the video of the incident, which they eventually did. And the history of North Carolina recently, and we were talking about how close a state this is and how much voter turnout matters here. In 2008, President Barack Obama squeaked out a very narrow victory. 4 years later against Mitt Romney, he lost narrowly. Back to you, Arthel.
Rich Edson, thank you very much, Rich.